You are looking at this screen, and you are wrong about what that means. The strongest instinct you have is that you're seeing it right now, directly, without interference. It feels like a live broadcast from reality to your mind. Zero delay. No editing. This is the common sense view of perception, a continuous, open window on the world. It feels obvious. It feels certain. But that certainty is the instant illusion. It's a masterful edit your brain finishes long before you ever catch a glimpse. And the most convincing part, you can't feel the delay, you aren't supposed to. The sun you see right now set 8 minutes and 20 seconds ago. That is not a metaphor. The photons reaching your eye left the sun's surface more than 500 seconds before you ever knew they existed. You have never seen the sun as it is. You have only ever seen its past. Now apply that rule to everything. The person a meter away from you, light from their face takes about 3 nanoseconds to cross the distance. A nanosecond is 1/1000th of a second. It's too tiny to feel, but it is a real gap. A gap that means you are always looking backward, never at the present moment. This isn't an abstract idea. It is a hard physical limit. The universe imposes a speed limit on everything. 299,792,458 meters per second. Nothing beats that number. So any scrap of visual information arriving from outside comes stamped with a delay proportional to distance. Close things produce a small delay. Far things produce a large one. But there is never zero delay. Think about looking at a star on a clear night. That star may be 50 light years away. The light you see began its journey when you were an infant, maybe before you were born. You are not watching that star live. You are watching an old recording. The star could have exploded a decade ago, and you would have no way of knowing until the light finally shows up. So here is what this means. The present moment never reaches you directly. Everything you see has already happened. The world you perceive is a collection of past images assembled into something that feels simultaneous. It's a very good illusion of immediacy, but it is an illusion built on real gaps. Which raises a question: if all light arrives late, how does your brain keep you from noticing the disconnect? How does it make the past feel like the present? The answer to that is not physics. It is something much stranger. The answer is a delay, a deliberate one. Your brain refuses to show you the world the instant the raw data arrives. Instead, it collects fragments from your eyes, ears, and skin over a stretch of roughly 80 milliseconds. Then it assembles them into a single coherent picture and delivers that picture to your conscious awareness. You don't experience the moment it happened. You experience the moment after your brain finished editing it. This is called the neural latency. It sits on top of the physical delay from light speed. So the sun you see is not only 8 minutes late, it's also 80 milliseconds older than the raw signal that reached your retina. Same for a friend's face across a table. By the time you consciously see their expression, their actual expression has already changed. Why would the brain add extra lag? Because your senses do not report at the same speed. Sight is fast, sound is slower, touch is somewhere in between. If your brain fed you each stream the instant it arrived, the world would feel like a badly dubbed film, mouths moving before words land, taps felt after the sound. So your brain imposes a deadline. It holds incoming data in a temporary buffer, waits for the slowest sense to catch up, then stamps everything with a single timestamp. Now, your experience of synchronicity is a post-production effect. That means you are not living in the real present. You are living in a slightly outdated model of it, a reconstructed version that never existed outside your skull. The world you perceive is always at least 80 milliseconds behind the world that is, and you never notice because the edit is seamless. If your brain is willing to hide an 80 millisecond gap from you, what else is it editing out of the picture entirely? You probably think your brain works like a camera. Light and sound enter, get processed, and a picture of the world appears in your mind. That is intuitive, simple, and almost certainly wrong. The evidence suggests your brain does the opposite. It generates a prediction first, then checks reality against it. Try to tickle your own palm. Barely works. Your brain predicts your own touch and cancels the expected sensation. No prediction error. When someone else touches you, the prediction fails, producing a strong signal. Being tickled is a prediction failure. Now consider walking down a staircase. Your brain expects each step's depth before your foot moves. If one step is deeper, your brain registers a mismatch and your body corrects before you consciously notice. Prediction error in action. This is predictive processing. Your brain constantly generates a world model, a best guess based on everything you have learned. Sensory input does not build this model, it only tweaks it. When the model matches input, prediction becomes perception. When there is a mismatch, error signals travel upward to revise the model. Predictions flow from higher brain regions down to the senses, setting expectations. Errors flow back up. This hierarchy means that seeing an object pulls in your entire history with similar objects. The result is often called a controlled hallucination. Your brain hallucinates the world in high detail, and sensory data keeps it tethered to reality. The core idea is well supported, but exact neural details remain debated. How prediction errors are computed and where they propagate is an active question. That uncertainty is appropriate, since this is a best guess about a system built on guessing. Here is the takeaway: you never encounter raw reality. You encounter your brain's best guess, refined by errors. The cup you see is not just light. It is your brain's prediction of its weight, shape, and texture based on every cup you have ever held. When the guess is right, experience is seamless, but it is always a guess. If perception is a controlled hallucination, then prediction failures are not bugs. They are cracks that reveal the machinery. When the hallucination breaks, the architecture behind it becomes visible. Those moments are what we will look at next. A black screen, a single white dot slides from the left edge toward the right. At the exact moment it reaches the center, a white circle flashes at the same spot, but you do not see them together. The flash appears behind the dot, trailing it, as if it arrived late. The dot is ahead. This is the flash lag effect, and it is not an optical trick. It is a direct signature of your brain's prediction machinery. Remember the 80 millisecond delay from earlier. Your brain already holds a buffer to synchronize your senses, but motion introduces a second problem. A moving object doesn't stay put while your brain waits for data. By the time the raw signal arrives, the object has already advanced. So your brain performs a radical fix. It shows you where the dot is going, not where it was. Your prediction system extrapolates the motion forward to the present moment, compensating for the delay. The flash has no predictable path, so it receives no extrapolation. It lands in the past relative to the predicted dot. Your brain sacrifices the literal timing of the flash to keep the moving dot aligned with your actions. You experience a lag, but the lag is in the flash, not the dot. Exactly how the brain performs this extrapolation is still debated. One model suggests neurons in the visual cortex actively anticipate motion by shifting receptive fields. Another proposes the brain reorders events after they occur, post-dicting the flash backward in time. Both have supporting evidence. What is clear is that your brain is not a passive receiver. It actively edits the timeline to produce a coherent experience. This means your experience of moving objects is always slightly futuristic. When you catch a ball, you are not tracking its real position. You are intercepting a prediction. The brain prioritizes a useful, coordinated present over a literally accurate one. It makes up time to keep you coordinated. The dot and the flash, same moment, different treatment. Your brain edited one and left the other raw, and the gap between them reveals how the editing works. Next time you see something move, you will not just see motion. You will see your own prediction. We have just seen that your brain edits time to keep you coordinated. It constantly predicts where things will be. Now consider this. If your brain uses predictions to construct reality, then the difference between imagining something and perceiving it is not a difference in kind. It is a difference in degree. You can test this. Imagine a red apple. You see it clearly but know it is not there. Yet neuroscientists using fMRI have found that imagining that apple activates the same visual cortex as seeing a real one. The same neurons fire, just less strongly. Imagine a sound and your auditory cortex responds. Imagine a touch and your somatosensory cortex lights up. The brain uses the same hardware whether the input comes from the outside or from memory. So what stops imagination from becoming perception? The answer appears to be a threshold. The brain tags self-generated activity as weaker, but this tag can be overridden. In the placebo effect, a sugar pill works because the brain's expectation of relief dampens pain signals. The imagined outcome becomes real. In phantom limb pain, the brain generates a vivid sensation from a missing limb, and that sensation feels entirely real. The reality threshold is flexible. How does the brain cross it? The predictive processing model suggests that perception occurs when top-down predictions match incoming sensory data with minimal error. Imagination occurs when predictions are present, but error is not fully resolved. If the error signal is suppressed by strong expectation, attention, or suggestion, the prediction is accepted as real. This is a dynamic process, not a static category. Researchers debate whether there is a special reality tag or merely a strength of signal. Some argue for a separate reality monitoring system. Others claim it is purely a matter of prediction error. Both have evidence. What is clear is that the threshold is not fixed. Under hypnosis, meditation, or strong emotion, the threshold lowers and imagination can blade into perception. This has real consequences. Your beliefs about a drug determine its effectiveness. Your memory of an event can be overwritten by repeatedly imagining a different version. Your expectations shape your sensory experience before any data arrives. You are not a passive receiver of reality. You are an active constructor, and the line between reality and imagination is drawn moment by moment. Your brain does not have a separate bin for imagination. It has one system, and it decides what to treat as real based on what is most useful for survival. The reality threshold is not a wall, it is a volume dial. The same brain that edits time and blurs imagination into perception is always editing. You are not experiencing the world. You are experiencing a version optimized for survival, not accuracy. Here is the simplest proof. Right now, move your eyes from the left edge of the screen to the right. During that movement, your brain shut off visual processing. You went briefly blind, but you did not see a blank. Your brain filled the gap, stitching together a seamless scene from what came before and after. This is saccadic masking. It happens every time your eyes move. The continuous world you see is a composite, assembled retroactively. Now generalize. Color constancy works the same way. The light hitting your eyes changes constantly, but your brain corrects the raw wavelengths to match your expectations. You do not see the shimmering real data. You see a stable version that your brain edited to be useful. These are not isolated quirks. The speed of light delay, the prediction of motion, the flexible reality threshold, they are all the same fundamental process. Your brain is a prediction engine. It builds models of the world and uses sensory input only to check for errors. Your experience is the model, not the input. Neuroscientist Anil Seth has described perception as a controlled hallucination. Constrained by real signals, but still a construction. Decades of predictive coding research support this view. The brain does not passively wait for data. It actively generates expectations and revises them only when the error signal forces an update. You are always ahead of the raw feed, living inside a simulation that is constantly recalibrated. This means the raw universe is inaccessible to you, but that is not a failure. It is the design. The system prioritizes speed, coherence, and usefulness over literal truth. You do not need to know the exact photon count. You need to catch the ball, avoid the predator, hold the conversation. The edit makes that possible. You live in the edited version, and now you see the edit. If this video reshaped how you understand your own experience, drop a comment telling me which edit hit hardest. I read them all. Thank you for watching. But there is one question the edit cannot answer. If your entire experience is a controlled hallucination, what is the real world like when you are not perceiving it? That is the open question you now carry. Leave a comment with your best guess. I want to hear your answer.